Let's go, guys. Here it is. The big update. Review preview part 3 new heroes. I haven't gone through these. Unlike the first parts, I'm actually, gonna be streaming this one, and you guys are gonna see like my first impressions rather than like thinking about them for like 15 minutes, okay? All right, new heroes. Shadow Demon. Tier 1. Wow, you can just play it right away. Heartless Demon. Whoa, dude. Heartless Demon. Some powerful alliances. However, the one thing to be aware of is demons typically don't want to be tier 1 units. We haven't seen a tier 1 demon before. In theory, it's kind of cute if you care about winning rounds 4, 5, and 6, although me and Dinah were just talking about how lose streaking is just kind of always the best way to play. It's like a tier 1 demon, what is this good for? It's going to have weaker stats than like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 demons. It's going to be a little bit behind the curve. And the tag doesn't really do that much for you early in the game. You could 3-star it, which would be pretty cute. But both of its tags are pretty useful. I mean, Heartless is nuts, and Demon in theory is good. Now, the one thing is these two tags don't really work that well with each other, for whatever that's worth. It's kind of hard to fit into any like one specific comp just because these are two generalized tags unless you need a Heartless and you just kind of you don't know what to do with Demon, whatever. But minus armor doesn't actually work with the Demon pure damage. Demon pure damage is a little weird. The Demon pure damage works off of basically your base attack damage plus damage from items or abilities, and it works with crits. It doesn't work with minus armor. Okay, Demonic Purge repeatedly purges its target, removing buffs and slowing movement and attack speed for 5 seconds. When Purge ends, the target is dealt damage. So yeah, this is basically how it works in Dota. It's Shadow Demon's ult. I played a decent amount of Shadow Demon in Dota. One of my heroes. I like this bad boy. But I'm not sure how useful Demonic Purge is gonna be. So yeah, Purge is gonna remove buffs, slowing movement and attack speed. We have no idea how the targeting works. I think it's fair to say that the targeting on this is probably gonna be 100% random. When in doubt, you expect most non-damage targeting to be random. So it's probably gonna be the same as Doom, that it hits a completely random target. I kind of wish there was a bit of AI to these sorts of effects. Because I think that adds a lot of skill ceiling to stuff like positioning, etc. Or, depending on how the AI works. It doesn't have to be position based, I guess. But at least it makes it like a little bit predictable. I do think it shouldn't be, you don't want fights to be deterministic. I think that's kind of important, and I think a lot of players will kind of push for that, even though it's not really great. But at the same time, I think there's a couple points of randomness where it doesn't really need to be. So overall impression of Shadow Demon, it's interesting. He seems kind of like a confused hero. Like, what are you supposed to do with him? Okay, like let's look down here a little bit. I might have just spoiled some of you guys, but like when I was looking at Lifestealer, I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's like a tier 1 Heartless Brute. It feels like, I mean, Brute's good later, but like more Heartlesses. They're adding another Heartless. It's so crazy. I mean, maybe they're nerfing Heartless, because Heartless Alliance is maybe the single strongest thing in the game right now. And you kind of always have to run it. And now, I mean, if they do add like 4 good Heartlesses, I think you will have to run 4 Heartlesses. Period. Like, if there are 4 good Heartlesses, every comp will have to run 4 Heartlesses. Because it's just that efficient, I think. The thing is, though, it might be kind of hard for a Heartless to synergize with itself, right? Now we've got a Heartless Demon, we have a Heartless Brute. None of the other Heartlesses above that, like, currently exist in the game were synergizing with themselves, like, at all, right? We've got, like, Shroud. I mean, Pudge and Neck are obviously kind of linked. That 6 Warrior, 4 Warlock builds, or 2 Warlock. But, one is Knights, one is Hunters, one is Warlock, one is Warrior, one is Mage, one is Brute, and one is Demon. So it's like there's not so much synergy happening there. It's very weird. I think if Shadow Demon and Lifestealer are gonna be good, they're definitely gonna have to play off of that like new maybe like 4 Heartless board. Tier 1 unit Heartless is crazy. See, I don't really think that's true. Because the problem is that Heartless isn't really that strong in the early game. And on top of that, I mean, Demon isn't really what you want for a tier 1 either. I mean, you want your demons to come in a little bit later so they're going to be stronger, right? Like tier 2 or tier 3 is probably a bit better. Like the demon in tier 1, winning the first like 5 rounds of the game doesn't really matter right now, at least in this meta. So it feels a little weird. Heartless might be going to 3-6 alliance. Yeah, maybe that's what they're changing. Who knows? It's so hard to evaluate these Heartless units. I think they're either nerfing Heartless or making it a 3-6 or something. But yeah, Shadow Fiend just seems confused because Heartless is really good, but you don't want it early. And Demon is good, but you want it on something with higher stats. And as far as we know, I mean, so Shadow Demon, not only is he a tier 1, but in Dota he's a support. I didn't mention that. That's important to mention. He probably won't have good stats. I mean, he might literally have like Shadow Shaman level stats, right? And that's a big deal. It's like, at most, he's not hitting super hard. It's not like Shadow Fiend. He's not going to be hitting like crazy. But I don't really expect him to be all that good, I guess. I don't know. I don't really see too much there. But let's go on. Okay, Bristleback. Bristleback is a brawny savage at tier 4 with Cool Spray. Wait. Was he listed in the... Oh, I see. Yeah, he wasn't listed here, right? Yeah, so he's the 6th brawny. That's interesting. So they didn't actually tell us all the brawnies. Oh, no, wait, this is brawny, not... Sorry, it's like they both have like almost the same name, and it's the same color, and it's like... Never mind. Okay, Bristleback is brawny, not brute. I'm still half asleep. Brawny Savage. And Savage right now, in its current form, I think something's going to have to change with Savage. Savage in its current form right now is actually decently strong. Maybe leading to a bit of good stuff. And it's something they did last minute too, so I do expect some change to Savage to come down. And he's got Quill Spray. Sprays cools from his back, damaging nearby enemy units. Enemies take additional damage for each time they have been hit with Quill Spray this round. So for those of you guys who never played Dota SVEN, Quill Spray is physical damage. Pretty interesting. So some synergies like Heartless could be good. If there's more physical AoE in the game, then the idea of a full Heartless physical comp could be a real game changer. Now what I see here is something very interesting, because I see him having Brawny, and we all know our boy Beastmaster is probably the best at a kind of build around minus armor physical damage ability so far, who's also a Brawny. So I kind of see that this could actually lead to an entirely new build that we haven't seen before, which is like 4 Heartless, maybe 6 Heartless. 4 Heartless, 2 Brawnies, and just stacking physical damage AoE. Maybe throw a Techies in there. Techies also, of course, dealing physical damage with his ability. So that could be pretty interesting. Again, we haven't really seen that build before. And Bristleback could be a pretty massive enabler, being both Brawny and with a powerful physical spell, right? You do definitely need that like second Brawny pair. So that could be interesting. He's tier 4. Remember what I said earlier, tier 4s are basically gonna be your tier 4s are what you want to run in like kind of more good stuffy type builds. You'll run them more so in like level builds rather than role builds, if that makes sense. And it's a tier 4 Brawny. So if we're looking at Brawny now, like check this out. As far as we know, we don't know if any Brawnies are getting removed. Who the hell knows? But Brawnies, 4 Brawnies was a build that was kind of very, very popular, kind of fun build. Honestly, not that strong, but it was an okay build. It was never really a good build, by the way. A lot of people think it was. But it was fun. I mean, I played it. I enjoyed it. And you could do this back when Disruptor was tier 4. And now, if you want to do it these days, it's a lot harder, because you have to find the ace tier Disruptor, and that's pretty unreliable, especially since he's not ace of Brawnies. So you can't boost Brawny odds, or you can't boost him with your Brawny odds. You have to boost him with Warlock odds. So now Bristleback represents that tier 4 Brawny Brawnies have wanted. So in theory, Brawnies could make 4 Brawnies without having to find Disruptor, and then replace something like Axe later for Disruptor, depending on what they want. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. And he's also another savage. Look at that. So like right now in the game, running 6 savage has kind of always been bad, right? Why is that? There's a couple reasons. First of all, like when you have this kind of ability, something that scales with round length, you're better off, instead of trying to stack more of it, instead of doing that, you're better off just adding elements that slow down the fight, like warriors to tank, warlocks to heal, etc., that kind of thing. You want just the slow fight, and then you're getting more value out of your 2-tier savage, your 4 savage units, rather than, like, you know, running 6 savage and having a faster fight. That's important to think about. But on top of that, there's also only 6 savages in the game. So that forces you to run the basically useless Enchantress. And she is literally basically useless, right? So if they add a 7th savage, I mean, suddenly you're thinking, wow, that could be pretty interesting. Because we have a situation where we can run 6 savages without Enchantress, right? And that's a really, really big deal. I can't stress that enough. Like, so much of the upside or downside you get from kind of going over your hero limit is basically like dipping into worse things, right? For example, this is part of the reason that I have kind of always liked 4 knights better than 6 knights. Because, I mean, so you can look at the knights in terms of how they function. It goes from 15 to 40 to 50, so it's scaling up. You know, and it's increasing by more than it seems here because of how damage reduction stacks with itself here. But on top of that, the first, like, 2 knights you're running are the good ones, right? Like Abaddon +1, because Abaddon's Heartless is good, right? The second 2 knights you're running are also good. And then the last 2 knights you're running start to really fall off, because there's only 6 of them in the pool, so you're going to have to run whatever the weakest knights are. And usually that's going to be, you know, something like Batrider Luna or Batrider CK, depending on, like, which one you're not 3-starring, right? And that's a big deal, having to run units. It gives you kind of diminishing returns that you might not immediately be thinking about on your alliance tiers, right? It's like, this looks like it's a bit of diminishing returns, but not that much. In fact, it goes up more on 6 than 4 because of how the percentage-based damage reduction works. But the real diminishing returns is in the heroes. So when you take a 6-hero alliance and add a 7th hero, a tier 4 hero, probably pretty good, that's a really, really big deal, right? Like 6 savage, I'm suddenly looking at this like it's an actual thing now. That's crazy. Now, another thing to be aware of is in Dota, Bristleback has a really cheap mana cost for Quill Spray and a really low cooldown for Quill Spray. That's kind of the concept of Quill Spray. It's cheap and it's low mana cost. It's basically like Sticky Napalm in Dota, which is interesting. We don't know how cheap or how spammable it's going to be, but it might be extremely, right? So, I mean, we can look at this, and we can look at the Savage Alliance, what it does now. We don't know if this is getting changed, but again, they gain attack damage every time they land or cast a damaging spell. So, I mean, this could literally have a 2 or 3 second cooldown. It could start at low damage, but it could scale with Savage Alliance in a really powerful way, which again could incline you to 6 savage. So there's potential there. This could be kind of nuts. I mean, there's a lot of potential here. It's like maybe he leads to 6 savage, 4 savage paired brownies, 6 savage paired brownies, the full all-in like double brownie, Beastmaster Bristleback, like heartless builds. At that point, we just have to call it like physical AoE build, because it's not built around brownies, right? And it's not even really built around heartless. The build around is the physical AoE that the heartless is supporting, and the brownies just happen to be picking up, right? And that's a cool build. I'd love to see that integrated into the game, unless it's, you know, OP. But I always like the idea of synergies that are kind of like not explicit per se, right? Like synergies that go beyond just alliances and like playing for the alliances you're playing for. It's very interesting. So yeah, this is a potentially scary hero. I see a lot of potential here. Okay. Oh, dude, here it is. SVEN. Human Scaled Knight. Oh my god, it's an ace. Holy shit. Okay. This looks really good. All, like, immediately. These are 3 powerful tags. I was just saying that, you know, knights kind of need a 7th unit to be able to, like, eject one of the weaker ones so that you feel like you can go to 6. This looks nuts. Let's actually read this. Okay. You're always going to be able to use the human because you're in knights. This is the one alliance that can use human tag pretty well. And you've got scaled for free, which means, you know, I mean, you could complete scaled with Viper, you could complete it with Tidehunter. It's just free. Keep in mind, most of the reason warriors are so good, well, not most of the reason. One part of the reason warriors are so good right now is because they get scaled for free. And now knights get half a scaled for free. Tidehunter is a good hero unless they nerf it. And Viper is something you're often running with your Dragon Knight, and Viper's not scaled. So maybe that's the new build. It's like knights with 6 knights, scaled with Viper SVEN. Looks nuts. Absolutely bonkers. When SVEN casts God Strength, all allied knights lose their Knight Alliance bonus and gain increased damage per Knight Alliance. Wait, what? All allied knights lose their Knight Alliance bonus and gain damage per level for the remainder of the round. So it turns their shield into damage. Wait, is that good? We got Knights Ace boys, dude. Mike Wizard is fucking pleased. This is like, it's not just Knights Ace. It's like Knights Human Scaled. It's like 3 really powerful tags here. You can use all of them. So I don't know if, is this good? What if you just put Mask of Madness on SVEN? Because this might actually be a downside. I mean, it depends on the matchup, maybe. Like, losing your Knight Shield is pretty spooky. That being said, I mean, when you cast this, your Luna level 3 is just gonna one-shot. Like, you don't even need to stay alive. Okay, SVEN enrages and gains amplified damage. Alright, okay. And SVEN's melee attacks strike nearby enemies for a percentage of his damage. So as far as we know, cleave in this game is gonna be the same as Battle Fury. As far as we know. I really hope this isn't how the cleave mechanic works moving forward. Battle Fury deals damage to exactly 2 tiles that are adjacently perpendicular to the target, and I think that's kind of always going to be weak by design. So I'm not really feeling that kind of cleave much. We also, SVEN isn't the only new cleave hero. We also saw, God, who was it? Somebody had cleave here. Magnus in power, right? So hopefully that's not exactly how cleave works, especially SVEN's cleave, one of the bigger ones. You know, man, can't wait until Kunkka's in the game. Wait, Kunkka isn't in the game. Dude, when are they gonna add Tidebringer? That's what I fucking want. You guys don't know this, but Kunkka was one of my boys. I played a lot of Kunkka in Dota. Battle Fury's cleave has always been less than SVEN and Magnus. Yeah, Battle Fury's cleave has always been small. You're right. So maybe the different cleaves will actually hit a different number of tiles per. I think I would expect they would want to standardize that mechanic though, so it would be weird. We don't know. We have no idea how to evaluate this cleave. At the very least, I think it's pretty safe to say this is gonna be a buff to knights, and I think it kind of has to be. I mean, like, even if the cleave is kind of bad, and even if Ace of Knights is like has that downside, like, it's still an Ace of Knights. He's SVEN on an Ace. He's gonna have good stats. Like, he's gonna have the best stats in Knights, and it's really interesting. So you can use Ace early. You can use God Strength early. He's gonna be your frontliner for sure, one of your frontliners. And I mean, your Luna at level 3 will just one-shot things. So now here's the most interesting thing to understand about what SVEN represents for how to play knights. And what this is SVEN kind of puts you in the middle of 2 kind of awkward decisions, which is your rolling or your leveling, right? Knights is fundamentally a roll value build. You go to 8 on 21 and you stay at 8 until like 31, and you're spending that entire time rolling for 3 stars. That's kind of how Knights work. They just got an ace. Aces try to push you in the other direction. Aces make you think about leveling to 9 a bit earlier, maybe like 21, maybe 25, maybe something in that range, and playing for the ace instead. It's hard to do. I think it could depend a little bit on your situation, a bit, and it will always depend a bit on your situation. I can guarantee you, now that SVEN is in the game, there will be more situations where you're in Knights and you decide to level to 9 early. That will happen more often. I don't know if that's going to happen very often at all, though. I think at the end of the day, the logic with SVEN will kind of be pretty similar to the old logic with techies, which is basically, you know, at level 8, you have your 1% odds, and if you're paired on Knights, your odds are going to be pretty high to find the SVEN. They're going to be about 25% per ace unit. So when you're during that 21 through 31, the deep roll down, staying at level 8 and just rolling down on those 10 turns. 10 turns is an incredibly long time. You've got good odds at hitting Sven. Even at that 1%, and you're probably not going to play for a level 2 Sven. You're probably just going to have one level 1 Sven. And when you hit it, you just have to hit it there. I think that's probably going to have to be how you play this. It seems too hard to try to level to 9 that early with knights in almost any situation. So I think that's probably how you want to do it. You could level on 20. There's got to be some situations where, you know, if you're benching a good unit, you might level to 9 on 25 for sure. But I wouldn't fall into the trap of leveling to 9 early and trying to play for this. I think knight still does have to be a roll value build. I will say though, it's really important when you're looking at this, when you're thinking about how good this is going to be, the most important thing to understand is this is not as good as it looks, because Sven is for level value builds, and this is a roll value build, right? And so developers could put a powerful level value hero in a roll value build, or vice versa, and it'll never be quite as good as it looks, right? And that's a good thing. It's good design in this case to kind of like balance it while giving you kind of more flexible options that might make you play a little differently in different spots. So overall, it's hard to evaluate how good Sven is, but it's easy to say he belongs in knights. He will improve knights to some degree, right? It's an ace. It just basically has to be at least worth running with 3 relevant tags, no less. So that's a big one too. So Sven and Bristleback look very powerful. Not sure how Shadow Demon is gonna fit into this whole thing. You might find some places. I mean, he's a tier 1, so tier 1s can always play because you can always like get a level 2 tier 1 early and then be like, well, I guess I'll play this for a little bit, you know, whatever. Okay, so those are the 3 heroes, and apparently there's more heroes tomorrow too. Wow, look at that. So I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, hopefully earlier, because actually this one was late, but earlier, dude. They're just doing this every day. They're doing this literally every single day until the update. There's more heroes, and they're gonna end with underlords on top of that, and hopefully the actual like balance changes they're doing. Dude, this is actually, it's such a huge patch, really crazy. I can't wait. I don't know. When do we think they're releasing this? My guess is Wednesday. My guess is they're gonna release this Wednesday. Because they've been starting to patch on Wednesday sometimes instead of Thursday, and I think they might want to give themselves a bit more time. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty hype. Let's see, you know, when this comes down, we're gonna chain this game up. I can't wait to come back to this game strong.